everyone, me again. Welcome back to xameliax. Today we're going to be talking about how to track your cycle and why you should be doing it. So for those of you who are new, hi, my name's Amelia and we have honest and open chats about pretty much everything on this channel, but especially a big focus on female health, periods, hormones, body chats, that kind of stuff. So if you want to see more of that on your feed, click subscribe. We would love to have you, but let's get into the video. As always, please remember that I am not a doctor. This is just information that I have learnt myself over the last couple of years, and genuinely it's changed my life. Cycle tracking, why you should be doing it and how exactly to do it. So tracking your cycle is a fantastic way to get information about your body. It's not just for people who are using the natural cycles thing as a method of contraception. It's not just for people who are trying to conceive. It's for anybody with a uterus who wants to know about what is going on in there and to make sure that your cycle is ticking along the way it should be doing. Because it can give you a wealth of knowledge about your cycle, about your hormones, and it can help you spot any potential problems that might be happening that maybe you would have missed before. But how do you track your cycle? Well, there are a wealth of different ways that you can learn how to interpret and read your own biomarkers to help you figure out a lot of stuff about your body. Now, this works best when you are not on hormonal contraception, because a lot of the hormonal contraception can sort of put your body into an artificial hormonal state, which can affect some of your natural biomarkers. For example, if you're on the pill, you may notice that you might not have any cervical mucus or discharge. That's one of the biomarkers that we can use to track our cycle with. So just see what applies to you and see what you can run with, even if it's just the basic stuff that works. All knowledge is good. The first thing you can do if you're looking to track your cycle is to get a period tracking app or a period tracking journal, old school pen and paper, whichever you are comfortable with. And there are a multitude of different period tracking apps on the market. I personally use Flow because I really like the interface and it actually gives you loads of information. I tried the pro version last year. I think it was on offer. It was like 10 quid or something for the whole year, so I thought I'll give it a go. And I must admit, I really do like it, so I think I'll carry on using that pro version. But loads of different ones to choose from that all look a little bit different, do different things, so just pick one that works for you and your circumstances. Or you can buy like cycle tracking journals on Etsy, or if you're into your bullet journaling, you can design your own, or even just do it in a notes app on your phone. Just get the information down somewhere and start to record the same information each month. The apps are actually really useful because they have everything that you need to track already in the app for you, and often it's just a case of pressing a button, and they can generate all of that into different graphs and start to look for trends automatically for you, so you can see exactly how your cycle looks throughout the month. You just need to get into the habit of filling that in every day, which can take a little while, but once you're in the habit of it, it's there. You can either do it in the morning or in the evening. Personally, I find the evening easier, or as I go along and as I notice things throughout the day, I just tend to pop it into my app. And once you've done that for a few months, it will start to show you trends, and you kind of figure out what is normal for your body in a normal cycle, and then you'll be able to spot anything that's a little bit abnormal for you, or anything that sticks out, or something that you haven't experienced before. So the first biomarker that we're going to look at is your body temperature. Now, I have actually done an entire video on this, so if you want more information on BBT tracking or BBT charting, then please do refer to that video. It might be quite helpful for you. But BBT tracking, basal body temperature tracking, is just using a thermometer, a very specific thermometer. It has to read to 2 decimal places, so you get a very accurate reading. And it's using that first thing in the morning. As soon as you open your eyes, roll over, grab your thermometer, pop it in and record your baseline body temperature, because your body temperature actually changes throughout the month depending on where you're at in your cycle, and it can actually help show you if ovulation is occurring and if things are ticking along the way that they should be. There are lots of different factors which I do cover in my other video, but on base level your temperature should be a little bit lower in the first half of your cycle before ovulation. You then might get a dip, and a sharp rise, and then it will be slightly higher in the second half of your cycle. So tracking your temperature can just show you if ovulation has occurred, when it occurs, and then it can give you an idea of how long each section of your cycle is. So your follicular phase, which is the first half of your cycle, or the luteal phase, which is the second half. And this can be really helpful because it can help you pinpoint exactly when your period is going to start if things are a little bit irregular. For example, your ovulation day may move slightly depending on the month, and if your ovulation has moved slightly, it's a little bit further back, that tends to mean that your period might be a little bit late, because the luteal phase, which is the second half, tends to on average be the same length every month. So if your period is a little bit late, it may be that you just ovulated slightly later. And if you know all this information from your temperature tracking, it just stops you from panicking too much when your period is a couple of days late, because you just know exactly where you are in your cycle. The next biomarker is cervical mucus, or discharge, otherwise known as. And that's the white stuff that you see in your pants. I don't know about you, but when I was a teenager, I was absolutely mortified seeing any stains in my pants, because nobody really explained to me that this is totally normal. And not only is it normal, it's actually a really good sign. Your discharge can be fantastic. Not only does it help keep everything nice and lubricated down there, but it can also help you conceive, it can also stop you from conceiving, and it can also tell you exactly where you're at in your cycle, and also help you pinpoint if there are any issues that maybe need looking at. Because like your body temperature, your cervical mucus or discharge changes throughout your cycle, and that has its own little cycle as well. So depending on the consistency, the feel and the colour of your discharge, you can figure out exactly where you are in your cycle. Let me know if you'd like me to do a whole video on discharge. More than happy to help. But for example, you might find that in the middle of your cycle, your discharge goes really clear, really stretchy, and kind of looks like raw egg whites. That's actually really fertile cervical mucus that enables the sperm to go to the cervix and helps to facilitate conception. So that is one of the ways that you know that you might be ovulating. It really is amazing stuff when you start to look at it, but knowing what your discharge is doing is actually a really helpful way for you to track your cycle and also spot if there are any problems that may be occurring. The third biomarker that I want to talk about is a little bit more hardcore, but still just as easy to do, and that is your cervix position. So that's the position of your cervix, which sits right at the top of your vaginal canal. You may have never felt your cervix before, I have to admit. Before the last 2 years, I hadn't felt my cervix before, and it's been a learning journey. But you can actually have a feel around in there and have a look at how your cervix feels and whereabouts it's sitting, because it will actually change position throughout the month, depending on where you are in your cycle. So it's another way for you to figure out whether you're in the first half, the second half, whether you're near ovulation, whether you are ovulating, or whether you're coming up to your period. It can also help you track early pregnancy as well in some cases. Again, if you want a video on this for more details, I'll happily make one, but as a rule, your cervix tends to rise higher, so it will be harder to feel. You may have to put more of your finger in order to be able to reach it, and it tends to go softer around ovulation, and then just before your period it tends to drop lower in the vaginal canal and also get harder. So around ovulation it may feel soft like your bottom lip and close to your period it may feel a bit harder like the tip of your nose, but that one takes a bit of practice to get used to. But again, it can be a really great indicator as to whereabouts you are in your cycle and as to what your cycle is doing. You may be thinking, Amelia, I don't care about ovulation because I'm not trying to conceive, but the reason why it's important to know if you are ovulating and when you're ovulating is because that is what constitutes a normal cycle, a cycle that has these different phases where the follicles are growing, getting ready to release an egg, when you actually do release an egg, which is ovulation, and then the luteal phase, which is when your body either prepares to have a baby, get pregnant, or get rid of your uterine lining and have a period. And that's how your cycle goes every single month. And if there are any issues around ovulation, if maybe you're not quite ovulating, it can indicate an underlying condition, which you may need to chat to your GP about. So this is why it's really important to track your cycle, figure out what's going on. And then the other things that you can also note down are things like your hunger cues, if you're hungry at certain parts in the cycle, your mood as well, if you're happier at certain parts in your cycle or grumpier in others. I'm definitely grumpy in the week before my period. Also things like tiredness, whether you get sore boobs that can sometimes happen just before your period, any period cramps as well. Also how heavy your period is, how long it lasts is also a really great one to monitor. Because again, if it's longer than 7 days, etc., and other factors as well, that may indicate that something isn't quite right. Everything kind of paints a big picture as to what is normal for you, and anything that might then change in the future that you might think, that's not how it normally goes. I'm going to do a bit of investigation into that. I feel like I could talk about this for ages, but that is just the basic introduction to how you can track your cycle. If this video has been helpful in any way, please do give it a giant thumbs up because that helps us out. Click subscribe because we've got loads more hormone content, also over on Instagram and TikTok as well. I'll leave the links to that down below. And if you've got this far, please do leave a comment, even if it's just a little heart emoji, because any kind of interaction on these videos really helps us out and it helps it to be seen by more people. Because I think it's really important to have these conversations. I feel like we weren't taught enough about this stuff at school. It's been a real sort of aha moment for me in my 30s, learning about all the stuff that I should have known for the last sort of 2 decades. So yeah, I'm going to leave a recommendation for a book that I absolutely love down below. It's called Period Power. I'll leave a link for you if you want to, you know, just do a bit more reading on stuff. But any questions, fire them my way and let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you again soon. Bye! Happy tracking!